psychology practice, and welcome to my Monday night vlog. I've had a bit of a long day today. I started at 8 a.m. and just about to do this vlog and then head home. But I wanted to do it because to me it's important to try to be consistent and to keep going with anything that I set out to do. And one of the things I wanted to talk about tonight is about how to keep challenging those negative thoughts on a day-to-day basis, especially when you're feeling tired or when you've had a lot happening. So over the last few days, we've had a lot of extra things to do at the practice. Unfortunately, one of our key team members has taken sick, and so that's meant that I've had to take on some extra roles over the past few days, learn some skills that I didn't have before in terms of administrative things, and so it's been hectic, really would be the best way to describe it. And so when I first got the news that this team member would be away for a week, I have to admit that I went into a bit of a spin. I had one of those, oh my goodness, what am I going to do moments? And I had to really kind of, I read the email and I was like, oh, what are we going to do over the next week? So I had that my mind went into panic mode temporarily, and I felt the overwhelm. And one of the things that I'd share with you is that I actually found myself feeling a bit teary, and I realized that at the time it was because those negative thoughts were really kind of taking over. I started having those thoughts of yet another thing to cope with. How am I going to deal with this? I won't be able to manage it. This is too much. But what I had to do in this situation, and I think it's what we all have to do, is to really kind of self calm. And so I shared my concerns with some people who are close to me about how I'd coped. So I got my little vent, had my little teary moment, and then I really kind of focused on controlling my breathing, following that calm approach to stress management that I talk about. So I controlled my breathing, I assessed the situation, and I really kind of looked at what some of the alternatives could be to be able to manage the situation. So once I'd moved past that initial panic and the negative thoughts, I started to think of what some of the options might be, and so was able to come up with some strategies to help us out here over the last few days, and that's been really helpful. I've also had to really focus on letting go of some of those unhelpful and negative thoughts that I was having about how I probably wouldn't be able to cope this week, that it was just one thing too many. And so I had to just start using coping statements and say to myself, we'll get through this. It's a challenge, not a disaster. It's something that, these things happen, we get through them and we come out of them then with more skills and more confidence about coping with further issues. So I had to really kind of let go of those unhelpful thoughts. And then over the weekend, I had to really make a point of using some healthy coping strategies, like having some time out, going for a nice long walk with my family, which I did on Saturday, so that I'd have a break from the worries and problems that I was having about how to manage. And so by taking that calm approach to managing stress, I've been able to get through what have been a challenging few days, and I'm now feeling a bit more optimistic about how we'll cope with being a bit short on staff this week at the practice. But I still can feel those negative thinking patterns arising from time to time. So if anyone's here listening to me tonight, let me know if you struggle with this. If sometimes you feel like you've got things under control, you've come up with a plan for managing a situation, and things start to look good, and then suddenly you just get swept by a wave of self-doubt again, of thinking, can I do this? And it's funny because in my experience, sometimes those moments, hit you at the strangest times. So probably about 20 minutes ago, I was going through about, without joking, 3 sets of key rings that each had probably about 25 keys on them, in search of the letterbox key for the practice. So this might seem like an odd thing, but I don't check the letterbox generally. It's not one of my roles, and I couldn't find the key, and then discovered that the primary key is with the person who's on leave at the moment. And so I started to have one of those moments of panic rising again. So those negative thoughts started to hit me about, what if there's a subpoena in the mail? We, realized the mail hadn't been checked since last Thursday. What if? And so I had to kind of once again focus on my breathing, once again assess the situation and see what I could do. And, I decided that that I had, my first line was to just go through each key one by one until I would find the letterbox key. And that if worst thing came to worst in that situation and I couldn't find the key, that I'd simply have to go to plan B, which was to contact the person who's off leave to see if I'd be able to pick up the key from their place, or if that didn't work, if that wasn't possible, have to get a locksmith out and get the letterbox key replaced, the lock changed and replaced. And so I had to really, when I was feeling those negative thoughts creep up, really look at solutions, not just problems. And so as I'm standing there in what was darkness, rifling through these 3 things of keys, each with, I kid you not, about 25 keys in it each, I got to probably 3/4 of the way through the third batch of keys, and I started to feel, you guessed it, the negative thoughts rising again. And the negative thoughts were telling me, what's the point, Michelle? It's getting late, you're tired, it's probably not on here, just let it go. But I knew that if I did that if I didn't persist, that thoughts about finding this key would probably bother me tonight, and that my worry about what if there's a subpoena sitting in the mail that needs to be followed up in the next few days would probably have meant that I wouldn't sleep so well. So I just kept persisting. I kept saying to myself, well, just one step at a time, one key at a time, and have to tell you that I'm very pleased to say that towards the very end of the 3rd batch of keys, I found the letterbox key. Now that might sound like a small achievement, but today that was a win for me. And so when we're really troubled by those negative thoughts, when you're feeling a bit stressed or overwhelmed, I'd really encourage you to really use that calm approach to stress management, to control your breathing, assess the situation, to look at letting go of any unhelpful thoughts and beliefs, and to make a point of using some helpful coping strategies to get you through, because it really is very effective. And if you're interested in learning more about the calm approach to stress management that can help you to manage some of those negative thoughts and feelings of overwhelm that you have when things happen outside our control, then I'd like to invite you to join me on Thursday the 31st of August 2017 at our practice here at 170 Derby Street, Penrith, from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. for a 1-hour workshop on how to cope with stress, to how to manage both the small everyday stresses and the bigger things that happen in our life. So thank you for those who've joined me tonight, and to those who watch this video later. Please feel free to like, share, or comment if you found this helpful, and look forward to talking to you again next week. Bye for now.